My name is Alex Jordan, and I'm math faculty at Portland Community College. You may have just heard me give a presentation on web work, and now I'm going to give a demonstration of some of the power that you get from using LaTeX, that's spelled up here, LaTeX, to create some of your course materials. LaTeX is fundamentally different mechanism for producing documents than Word or PowerPoint, for example. Those are known as what you see is what you get applications, because as you are composing them, what you see is what you get. What you see when you're composing in LaTeX is not what you will get. You are creating text files, and then at the end, the compiler is going to process those text files into your final document. So it's because of this simple input mechanism, plain text, that LaTeX has some advantages over the what you see is what you get mechanisms. I only have a short time today, so I won't show you everything that I could, but I'm going to focus on what might be considered accessibility-related advantages. Let's open one of my recent actual course files. This is a worksheet that I used in my college algebra class. We have, it might look intimidating at first, but let me just explain some of the parts here. There's a command here at the beginning to create some things. We have some commands here that are loading files. Let me get rid of that. Here's a command that deals with making my graphs look nicer. Here's header command, so that will establish that in the upper left corner it's going to say that on all my worksheets. Some title setup. Anyway, we get down to the actual document. And at the beginning of the worksheet, I give some orientation to my students on what we're going to be doing. Then some enumeration begins. Problem 1, here's the graph of a certain function. Here's the actual command for that graph, and so on and so on. So let's take a look at what the final product looks like. If I typeset it, it creates this PDF file. And I can print this PDF file, distribute it to my class, and they'll work on it as a group activity. Alright, so for this presentation I thought I'd see what I could do relatively quickly with minimal alteration to my text file to make it more accessible than this actual worksheet. And the first thing I'm going to do is try to make an accessible website version of this. To work this way, I'm going to go to my terminal instead of doing things the way that you just saw me do them. I'm going to command line this. So let's see, we're going to go to my course files, and Math 111 is the class, and let's look at what we got here. We have this file functiongraphs.tex. That's what you saw just a moment ago, and we created functiongraphs.pdf as a result of that. If I wanted to make a website, or a web page for this worksheet, the first thing I'm going to do is have to edit that functiongraphs.tex just a little bit. There are 3 things I need to do. This command right here is a font selection command. I don't want that there. I need to insert this command right here. And I need to insert something down at the bottom. Okay. So that was this other command from my cheat sheet. Oops, here we go. And I've inserted it, and I'm saving these very small list of changes. Done. So now what I need to do is have the compiler turn that text file into an HTML file, and I've put together a very short string of commands that will do this. So I'm going to hit enter in a second, and this first command here is going to produce an HTML file. This second command is going to produce an XHT file, and this last one we'll talk about later. So this is going to take a while because there's a lot of thinking to do. Yeah. And we're done. So let's take a look at what we have now. in addition to functiongraphs.pdf, we now have functiongraphs.html. Let's open that. Open with, I guess Firefox would be appropriate. Functiongraphs.html. And we have a nice website version of the worksheet. We can zoom in on everything. This graph here is SVG graph, so no matter how much you zoom, you don't lose any sharpness. This math here is being rendered with MathJax, which I mentioned in my WebWork discussion. I can change how it zooms, I can change how it's rendered and make it use MathML so that it'll be more friendly to a screen reader. And there we go. It's still missing some things. It would be nice if the image had alt text, so we would manually go into the HTML file and add that alt text. Alright, well, that's cool. The next thing that I want to show you, when I executed this last command here, the third element was it created a BRF file. It turned the XHT file that had been made into this BRF file. And a BRF file is Braille. Let's open this with text edit. Oops, open -a text edit function graphs.brf. Here's what that looks like, because that's how you type Braille. Well, let's try to see it from actual Braille. If I turn it into rich text, I have the freedom to change the font, and so let's highlight all this stuff and change the font to one of our Braille fonts. Here's a good one, and there it is. That's what this looks like. I cannot confirm that this is good Braille. If we highlight all this and then zoom in a little bit, I don't know. I have some questions, like this is supposed to say function, but I don't really know what's going on with that character right there. But maybe that's how Braille works, or maybe something is wrong. Kayla could speak to that. But even if something is wrong, hopefully it wouldn't be a difficult thing to fix. And the other thing that is missing, of course, would be those graphs. So if we took what we have here together with a tactile version of the graphs created via the other mechanism, we have the complete picture. The third thing I want to show you, going back to the command line, is how I could relatively quickly create a slideshow for my worksheet. Now we had functiongraphs.tech, the original input source, and I copied that to functiongraphs.beamer.tech. Beamer is LaTeX word for slideshow. I had to make some alterations to it to tell it where one slide started and the other slide stopped. But once I've done that, then it's a short matter to compile it and then open function graphs beamer.pdf. You can view it in slideshow mode. And it's the worksheet. All right, it's got the graph, nice. It's got all of the items. And again, I want to stress that I didn't really change the input much except for telling it when to stop one slide and start the next slide. So, what have I been trying to communicate today? I started using LaTeX primarily because I wanted a pretty way to produce math content in a PDF. And as the years went by, I found more and more reasons to use LaTeX that were more about improved efficiency. And today I hope I've shown you some of that improved efficiency. We have one input file and we were able to create a PDF, Braille, a MathJax website, and a slideshow, all from the same input source. So Heiko Spadek is here with you today, and he might be able to field some questions. He's been using LaTeX with some students to create some math flyers for PCC. And if you'd like to contact me, please ask Kayla or anyone else in the PCC contingent for my contact information. Thank you.